So hey y'all, welcome to my channel, and for today we're going to be doing something which is so unique from what I've always done, which is going to be an eyeshadow hand swatches kind of a video. And I've done 3 looks using this palette and I've given you my review of it. I'm going to leave a link down in the description bar below and up over here for you to check it out. So I just wanted to make a very dedicated swatch video, that way you can see every single shade in this and see how it all goes through. So let's start off. Okay, so this is the palette on the inner side and this has a total of 40 shades. So when you approximately look at the color story which is in the palette, it's more on the warmer side with, it's slightly leaning towards the cooler side, especially because of the purples and, a couple of blues there. But the entire mid section is a lot of warm tones, and I have my own doubts. Like even when I was filming it, I felt like a lot of shades looked similar. For example, Tangy and Tangerine and Lychee, they all look very, very similar to Martina. So I just kind of wanted to check whether do they really look similar when you're swatching it, or is it just because it was being blended it was looking similar. So we're going to kind of come up with a couple of comparisons and analyze the entire palette together. So we're going to start by swatching it like column by column. I want to do columns because only then I am going to get all of the shades in the same row. So we'll do the first column, second column, and so on and so forth. So shade number 1 is Iris, which is like a rose gold shimmer with specks of like white shimmer running through it. It looks beautiful on the skin. And the next shade is like a metallic cranberry pink. So the color Lime is like a very light green, more like a parrot green. I really like this color. It blends beautifully with the other eyeshadows. It looks a little chalky on camera, but in real life it definitely isn't. It blends out beautifully. So next I have the color Glaze, which is a champagne metallic kind of a color. I think this is like a very classic, very standard color, nothing too different about it. I've noticed one thing with the shimmer formulations in the palette, like when you compare this one and these two shimmers, you do notice that this one has specks of like a very light bit of glitter running through it, and these two are just like your typical regular metallic eyeshadows. The metallic eyeshadows are pretty buttery, they're not waxy in nature, they have a really good intensity. These do not crease too, which is something I really like. And the next shade is going to be Oswald, which is a matte cobalt blue. Okay, so we're going to start off with this color here called as Midas, which is like a dirty gold, and it's beautiful because it has specks of like a very light pale gold running through it. This one and this one have a very similar formulation where both of them have these shimmer chunks in it. And then we're going to swatch this metallic green, which is the most beautiful metallic green that I've ever used. The next one is Bumblebee, which is like a sunflower matte yellow. This one is also extremely pigmented. It has a very good color payoff. It isn't chalky, and this one has this nature where the color kind of changes. Like after you apply it, it gets a tad bit darker. The next color is Amber, which is more of like a mustard yellow. I honestly don't see a big difference between these two yellows. And then the last color in column 2 is gonna be Witchy, which is basically a dark blue, and I really like this color. This is beautiful, like to create a full look, you can just use these two blues. So this one is the shade Blood, which is a warm red metallic eyeshadow. So the next one is called as Chocolate, which is a matte burnt umber kind of a color. And then we have Caramel, which looks like a duochrome. So I think this is a perfect bridal eyeshadow shade. It is metallic with gold flecks of shimmer. And then we have Nutshell, which is a peachy brown eyeshadow. And lastly, we've got the shade Tangy, which is a very, very fiery orange. Okay, so we're going to start off with the color Sorbet. So, and then we're going to use the color Carrots. And oh, this is like my most favorite shade in the palette. Like, I want to show you a close-up of this before I swatch. So here's Carrots for you. It's just kind of like a mix of like a coppery kind of, coppery, dirty copper, gold kind of a color, and it has gold specks on top of it. So It has the most beautiful shine, like you can see that in the close up, like how beautiful it looked. The formulation in this is a little different, like it's kind of like putty in the pan. You can kind of like push your finger through and it'll keep moving its shape. Super unique and super pretty. I completely love this one. So next up we're going to swatch Sugar Coral, which is like a matte coral to pink kind of a color. And then we're going to do Salmon. So this one is called Salmon, but it's more of like a baby pink. And then we have the color called as Blush, which is like a brighter version of the previous coral shade, which was Sugar Coral. So I feel like these two look so similar, except that this is a shade darker than this and it's a little more kind of intense and vibrant. So moving on from Blush, let's move on to Sunrise, which is the first color in the next column. And this is literally like your bright, vivid orange, beautiful color for blending colors out and giving you a sunset kind of a look. And then let's move on to Lychee, which is again the color which looks very similar to Tangerine. So let's see how it looks. So it's basically your classic tomato red, it's just a red, and the previous color was more of an orangey kind of a color. And this is a cool tone shimmery red. And then we're gonna swatch the color Tomatina. And Tomatina again looks very similar to the red and the red family. So it's basically it's just a very warm neutral red, warm to neutral. Like this is more warm and this one is more on the warm to neutral. So I'm just kind of double swatching it so you can see a clear difference between both. And honestly, I think they look so similar on like naked eye. Maybe a camera could, but when I see them next to each other, they just look similar, like these two colors. And even if you say these three colors, they look so much more similar, just like these two colors. Okay, so moving on to row number 6, we have the first color in that, which is called as Lilac. And this is genuinely a lilac. So it has this kind of a very light pastel pink purple mixed together, and this is like a duochrome. So next up we have the color Fiery, which is like your perfect bubblegum Barbie pink. And no look is complete without a color like this, and I think it's perfect for bridal looks. It's perfect for all these kind of party makeup looks and all those. And then we have the color called as Barbie, which is your Barbie pink. It's a perfect combination of pink to purple mixed together, and it forms a fuchsia. So next up we have the color Celestial, which is like a beautiful cobalt blue plus purple mixed together. It's kind of like a blue purple shift with kind of shimmer running through that, like some of the other formulations in the palette, like the first one over here. So I think a beautiful one. I think it's a must have. And now for the last color, we have Fangs, which is like your aubergine kind of a color, which is a plum kind of a matte eyeshadow. I really like this one. It's one of my favorite colors in the palette. And you know me, I love my smoky tones. Okay, so 7th column, first shade, it Whimsical, which is like a purple to pink kind of a color. I'm seriously very bad at color descriptions, but I think you kind of understand what exactly the color looks like. And then we have the color Grape, which is just a vivid purple. I really like this color because I use this color and not a lot of purples are usually pigmented, but this one was beautifully intense. So the next one is going to be called as Wink, which is like a very beautiful pink, like a very petal pink kind of a color. And then we have this color here called as Sangria, which is my most favorite color in the entire palette. Like, love this color. It's kind of like this mauvey pink, salmony mauvey pink kind of a color. And then we have the color called as Berry, which is again another vivid purple. So we again have a dupe within the palette where Berry and Grape again look so similar, except that Grape is a tad darker, but you really can't tell the difference when it's used on the eye. And then we have the color here called as Lavender, which is a shimmer, which is like a duochrome purple with kind of periwinkle shimmer running through it. And then we have the color here called as Plum, which is a perfect plum kind of like your brinjal kind of a color, a matte eyeshadow again. So moving on, let's go to Midnight, which is like your Cadbury purple metallic eyeshadow. And then we have the color called as Hippie, which is like a beautiful pink. And I really don't know how to describe this pink. There's so many pinks in the palette, but I think you can see and make out it's a beautiful color. I really like this kind of tones of pink. It looks beautiful. And lastly, we have the color Ons, which is black. And this black looks very chalky when I'm applying it, but trust me, like when I used it, it wasn't chalky at all. It was pretty intense and very well pigmented. If you've been targeting the Be Perfect Carnival eyeshadow palette, and if you're not able to get your hands on it, I think this is a very, very, very close dupe to that, and you pretty much have a very similar range of colors and tones and textures going on with it. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and let me know more on if you want to see such swatch videos. And this is the first time I'm doing it, so any suggestions, any ideas for improvement, please do drop it down in the comment section below, and I would love to know them. So I'll see you all soon for another one. Until next time, bye.